This is Infection, the survival podcast recorded live on Tuesday, February 5th, 2019, episode 212. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Of course, you can visit our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Well, we're an hour early for our live audience. For the podcast and YouTube audience, there won't be any differences. But how does it, Brian? It's what is it, 4 o'clock where you are? It's still
it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's still early over there. So appreciate you being able to be an hour early today.
No problem.
What's going on?
Well, I'll start out with my contact info really quick. If you want to find me at Voice Computer on Twitter, over my blog, you can go check out biteoftech.com. Make sure you go to our website though, because infectionpodcast.com, we have on there on the upper right a link to our Discord channel. So if you go to our Discord, you can submit news throughout the week. You can go in there and hang out, talk about different games, play different games. It's an excellent voice chat service if you're not using it yet. We also have in there whenever deals come up and just a lot of stuff happens, and that's the main place that we're discussing things. We also have our Steam group, which usually lets us send out notifications. It's not working yet today, but we will continue trying. But you'll get notifications usually before the live show, and that'll just, if you happen to be at your computer, it pops up, and you can jump in and join us for the live show. We have our audio and video forms on there. And of course, as you said, live on Twitch every Tuesday.
Well, yeah, Steam is not working reliably. So I guess we need to run and scream around and talk about how awful Steam is and really hold them accountable, right? Because, we're all going to switch over to the other library to host all of our games. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Game of the week was League of Legends. And Brian, saw you were playing another game during Game of the Week. So I'm going to just call you out right here on the air. What's the deal?
Actually, I was doing school and testing Arma. But yeah.
Well, you were testing Arma. You had Arma open the entire time.
No, I had the launcher open the entire time. I didn't have the actual game. Because you mentioned something to me and I went and closed the launcher.
No,
I didn't think it showed on Steam.
Message something to you. I started inviting you to my games.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
After we played the League for a couple hours, and then Saul and I started playing Dead by Daylight, and we were constantly inviting you to our games because
I saw that.
Because showed. Yeah, well, I'm glad it worked. The mission accomplished.
Yeah. I don't even have that game installed is the issue.
What, League? Well, you only had 7 days to get it installed, so I know. Slacker. Nevertheless, Saul and Green Man held our game of the week, which was League of Legends, and we had a really good time with it. So, thanks to those guys for holding that. We had a full League is 5 people. Yeah, we had 5 people, so we had a full team. Yep, and we did that on Friday night. Now, coming up this week is a game that we are going to talk about later on in the program. Maybe you haven't heard of it yet. Apex Legends. So that's going to be our game of the week, which will be at let's see, that'll be Friday night we do it at 8 p.m. Eastern. Is our game of the week. So, but we'll give you all. We should
on Saturday we should do XERA.
Correct.
Because it's their open beta, so we should have people play some XERA on Saturday and then do that for our game.
And that'll be better. XERAs would be a little more of a long form playthrough than Apex Legends is. So Friday night, join us 8 o'clock for Apex Legends, and then Saturday, sometime probably in the afternoon, maybe into the evening, join us for XERA Survival. We'll talk about all that stuff here on the program. I do want to thank our friend TechZone for resubscribing here on Twitch. And I don't remember if our friend Heisenberg resubscribed during last week's episode or not. So I think he did, but we'll thank him as well for the he did just a regular Prime subscription. So thanks to those two guys and all of our other subscribers for making the trips out. Hopefully we will be going out to Seattle for PAX West, making all those trips possible and letting us do all that cool stuff. So All right, Brian. Well, there's lots of news to talk about. We got a couple new games out. We've got some drama. You want to talk about Apex Legends first, since this is kind of the. I think you said a couple weeks ago that we are becoming the Battle Royale podcast. Maybe we need to. I mean,
that's pretty much. Yeah.
We need to do our second.
Survival
rebrand.
has turned into Battle Royale. It seems like everybody who likes survival now says Battle Royale, but so
maybe we need to do our rebrand. Infection the Battle Royale podcast just doesn't seem to make any sense. There's those two words, Infection and Battle Royale, just don't seem to work together. But this game it didn't come out of nowhere. We'd heard the name, but within the last week, this game that is being published by EA just popped up out of nowhere. It's being developed by it is developed by the Titanfall people, Respawn. If you have played any of those Titanfall games, and I'll note one thing: they paid a lot of influencers to talk about and hype up their game. And fortunately, when you're EA publishing a game, you've got the budget to pay people like Doc and oh God, who's Shroud? Those two guys who are both incredibly good players, and as well as I'm sure a whole bunch of other people. But I saw those two specifically tweeting about the game beforehand in a way that it was a paid program.
A lot of times they'll put hashtag ad, and you see that no matter what they say about it, it's good that they put that in there so you understand.
Well, they have to. I mean, Twitter requires them to do stuff like that.
If you're paid to make a comment,
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So, not that I don't want to take what their thoughts on the game are as. So here's the thing: these guys like Shroud and Dr. Disrespect play a lot of these games, and before we get into it, they seem to both be really enjoying it, but they were both paid money to play the game, and I don't know what the terms of those contracts were, so. It's kind of hard to gauge based on some top Twitch streamers how well people are actually liking the game. Now, it was, at least yesterday, I don't know if it is right now, I'll pull it up. It was the most watched game on Twitch yesterday when it came out. It is now. It's got 301,000 viewers. It's got, and Fortnite's got 150, so it's got double the viewers that and
a lot of that comes down to those top streamers are probably playing it right now.
Yeah, Doc, Summit, Lyric. Doc, Summit, and Lyric. Doc's got 44,000. Summit's got 38, and Lyric's got 23,000 viewers. So those guys combined have got over 100,000 views. 100,000 concurrent viewers at this moment.
You got to think if they weren't playing this game, they probably would be playing Fortnite.
Lyric probably would be. Summit would be playing some weird game, and Doc would.
Well, he'd be playing Pirates.
Yeah, he'd be playing that. But so it's a little bit harder to, you see this hype, and it's a little hard to judge. It's a little hard to judge what is the actual response to this. Again, I don't have.
Have you had a chance to try it out yet?
I have. I had a chance to play it yesterday. So do you want to play? I haven't actually seen the trailer. Is the trailer any good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it is.
Let's do this then.
It's very dramatic.
Okay, good. Well, we'll play the trailer. It's a battle royale game, and then we can discuss. A little bit more about our thoughts on it after that. So this is Apex Legends. It's a free-to-play game, and it is out now on Origin. We'll roll the trailer, and then we'll discuss right after this.
Liberation from the IMC brought chaos to the Outlands, and the revival of an old blood sport. Some legends fight for fortune, others answers, but we shall all...
Well, there doesn't seem to be any video here on my trailer, Brian. I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. Let me see if I can get it pulled up.
Try that again.
Pulled up somewhere else. Yeah, there's no video. There's audio. There's just no video.
There's video earlier, so...
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this. Let's see. Exciting times.
Yeah, see, for me, it's showing a video.
Yeah, well, I downloaded it. I guess that was my mistake. Okay. Well, let's try this again. The Apex Legends trailer. Very exciting game.
Take
we
two.
have the highest production quality ever. So
From the
here we go.
IMC brought chaos to the Outlands and the revival of an old blood sport. Some legends fight for fortune, others answers.
But we shall all be forged in the glorious realm.
Mirage, quiet. Path, are we clear?
This is my favorite part. Exciting.
Jackpot.
Don't mind if I do.
Back off.
But guys, I'm a legend in this thing.
Legends don't choke under pressure.
Death is inevitable. It's calling you.
Tell Death I said hello. So that clears things up. This is mine.
Yours? If it wasn't for me, you'd still be laying down on the job.
Did your weapon malfunction? Or did you?
Now you see me, now you don't. Sorry, did I confuse you?
Mother.
Isn't sneaky your specialty?
I believe with 10 kills, the loot should be mine.
That's a made-up number.
Game over. Thanks for playing. High five?
Right, so I think we're all in agreement that I'm the one
Where
who...
you are, you've been spotted. Grenade.
Kodai Squad wins again.
Their deaths still carry honor.
Poor bastards.
Check out the loot. They left Gibraltar.
All right, so that's Apex Legends, and for the audio listeners and people that haven't had a chance to jump in, again, it is brand new. It came out, it launched yesterday, and it's a BR game. So there's a circle, there's a zone, but there's a couple of things here that make this. It's another one of these games that it's got enough different where I think it's got some chance to kind of separate itself in the market. Now, to be fair, Brian, I've said this about other games. I said it about Realm Royale, and that game is popular, but not. I mean, it's got like 5,000 concurrent players, so it's not really at the point of a Fortnite or a PUBG. We said that about our friends up in Canada Land, Scavenger Studios. Don't remember the game. The name of the game is escaping me right now. Darwin Project. We said that about that, and unfortunately, that game has really failed to as well gain a foothold. So maybe this one will say the same thing. This one has a chance to be really popular. First things first, you play in a group of 3. There are no solos. There are no 5-mans. It's a 3-man group, and part of that comes down to a class system, which is a lot different rather than. Let's look at the top 2 competitors, Fortnite and PUBG. Neither of those games have got classes. You don't select a class when you play. Now you customize your character and whatnot, but your core abilities are the same. This game has got a whole bunch of different core abilities for, what is there, 6? I think there's 6 different classes in the game. So there's different classes, meaning that running in a group of 3, you typically run with a healer and then, maybe 2 assault or 1 assault, 1 support, something like that. So it's got that going for it. Secondly, when you jump off the drop ship, you actually you can jump off alone, but there is a person that is in charge of your group, and you can actually, when you jump, you can jump off in a group, and the person controlling where you're going controls the other 2 characters. So you both, so everybody can land at the exact same spot if they choose. It's a choice. You do have the option
you can unlock from them.
You can,
if you want to.
but you don't have to, which is great. It randomly picks a person to be the jump master, I think is what they call it, and that person you can decide where you go, and you go. It's pretty convenient. Everybody can meet up in the same spot, and it works out pretty well.
Now, there was another one that does that. That lets you lock. Are
you talking about ROE, where you kind of lock in where you're spawning?
No, there's one that lets you automatically jump with the person, and I'm trying to remember which one it is. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's one other that has a similar function to that, to where there's pretty much a person in charge of the jump. One thing that I know, so there's actually 8 characters.
I'm sorry. Okay,
8 total. Of course, there's 6 in one. So when you go and pick, you're picking from all those 8, and then you get to pick 3 of them. I got the feeling if you were to take Overwatch and make it a BR, that is pretty much this game. As far as the variances in the character classes, I mean, because if you look at Overwatch, they have very specific abilities that characters have with very specific and different personalities from one another. I feel like they were really going for that, but the reward system is almost a clone of Overwatch.
Yes, it is.
As far as how they do the chests and everything, which I think has proven very successful in Overwatch. As far as Overwatch is very balanced. The way they did the skin system, it doesn't feel pay to win. Doesn't feel like they're just trying to soak you for crates because they give you enough of them. But maybe you want to get a specific one. You pay them a little bit of money for that. But that's definitely the feel I got for this one, was kind of that Overwatch vibe.
And it's free to play, which is obviously separates itself from Fortnite. The weapon loadout is pretty much what you'd expect. A couple assault rifles, a couple submachine guns, so on and so forth. All that's pretty similar. There is obviously armor, helmets, body armor that you can pick up. There's different rarities of those. Again, pretty standard. The one thing that is really unique is those unique skills. Each class has got a skill. Now, I don't know all of the 8 skills off the top of my head, but if you're watching the video here, the person in this video is running the assault class, and their special ability is a set of almost like predator missiles. Essentially, you throw out this grenade, and it explodes into a whole bunch of different red mines, and then missiles from the sky come down and kind of bombard that area. So it's got a little bit of that going on. I'm trying to think. Other than that, I'm trying to think of the big core differences between this and some of these other games.
So one thing, let's see. I think that the one thing that I'm going to actually be talking a little bit about in the tip of the week is the ping system. That's very different.
Oh yes, correct. I forgot about this ping system. So it's very
I hate to talk about it because it's my tip of the week, but I mean, it definitely we're talking about. They've expanded upon the ping system quite a bit. Some ROE does a ping system.
Yeah. Now, typically in these games, and the other thing too is you don't have to, but you really do have to talk to your teammates. At least at this point in the game, and the VoIP it's not the best quality VoIP, but it works right out of the gate. There's no I didn't have to configure anything. And the ping system allows you to do a whole bunch of things. You can ping objects, so you could say, hey, here there's a gun over here. You just middle mouse click on it, and it'll pop up for all your teammates. You can indicate where an enemy is. Doesn't PUBG have a system where you can ping enemies? Or maybe it's not PUBG. I don't.
No, ROE has it, but
maybe ROE. I thought there was another.
ROE
game.
has it where you can ping a place.
Yeah, I'm thinking of another game where you can ping an enemy. You press like left shift. Is it Planet Side? It is Planet Side. You press left shift or left control, and it highlights an enemy. So it's got something like that in it. And other than that, there is a zone. The zone moves in. But the one thing I'll note, based off the little bit of experience I have with it, is it doesn't feel like the zone is as prominent as other BR games. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Not chasing you the whole. Yeah, I didn't feel like it was chasing me the whole time.
Yeah, a couple of other things I'm thinking while I'm watching this. When a teammate dies, so you have a chance to revive somebody, but once somebody dies, you can pick up their flag, is what they call it, their player flag. And there are probably 24 little green, they look like moon landing rovers across the map, and you can bring back your dead teammates' flag to this area, and they come back in on a little ship, and they get redeployed into the game with no loot. So even if somebody dies, one of your teammates dies at the beginning of the game, there is still hope for your 2-man group now to regain that third player. So even though you die, you're not totally out of the game, which is interesting. Which is something
I feel like they took all the mechanics. I feel like they took all the mechanics of the BRs and said, all right, what works, what doesn't, like out of all the top BRs. And then they said, well, and then also how can we improve upon that? Because, you have the down system, but it sucks when your group survives and there's still just one person who didn't make it.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, our group survived. We wiped the other team. All right, we'll be able to bring back our other player. And I think that's something we haven't really seen from any other BRs up to this point. A way to actually revive a down player that's totally dead.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the player has to stay in the game.
They can't just quit, but it gives you a reason to sit there and stay in it.
Exactly. So I believe those are kind of the core. Those are kind of the core differences. I'm sure there's definitely things we're leaving out. But unfortunately, this is just. Go ahead.
I'll say one downside that I was playing with Green Man earlier, and when we were doing the pick, the third person that got brought on didn't like their choice of who was picked, and so they just quit right after that, and it doesn't bring in a third person.
Oh,
so
really?
You're playing with two people. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of one of those things that's annoying. It's not game changing, but I just think that's one of those things that because of the different classes, you will run into things like that happening.
Yeah,
it doesn't fill in the spot,
and that's something obviously that Overwatch has to deal with as well.
Yep.
It's got a cool sliding system. If you press control when you're going down a hill, you can slide all the way down. There isn't fall damage, which is something that's new. There's no building, which it's weird. This game has got a much more Fortnite-y feel than PUBG, but without the building, which is good. It's got a very arcadey feel to it. I don't know if it's the art style or the actual play of it. The gunfights are pretty intense. I was playing with our friend PHVCK last night for a couple games, and we got into some pretty intense gunfights. And I think the guy that we were playing with came in second place, so our team placed second or third. So we had a couple good games like that. But the
one thing also is they have these things that let you pretty much fly again. So they have different zip lines that you can go to different areas with, but they also have this one that goes straight up into the air, and it allows you to. We actually used it to get to the next zone. You get up, it takes you up higher, and then it lets you fly like you do in the original part of the game.
So
that was something that was different.
It's kind of similar to that portal riff in Fortnite, where you can kind of gives you an opportunity. You don't go all the way back up in the sky, but it brings you up about half height and allows you to get towards the zone much quicker if you're kind of getting caught behind in the in the zone here. So it's a free-to-play game. It is an EA published game made by Respawn, so it is on Origin, which obviously should be a big issue for a lot of people. We talk about on this program all the time about the unwillingness of the PC gaming community to want to use other launchers. So this should be a big issue for this game. Obviously, hope it succeeds, because I think it's a lot of fun. But obviously, that it's got that going for it, which in my opinion, if it's as big of a deal as everybody says it is, then this is going to be a huge issue.
There wouldn't be 1 million people playing.
Well, no, but I think they could have a serious problem here if people are unwilling to use Uplay to play it.
Origin.
Origin to play it. Now they tweeted out that they have encountered over 1 million different active users over the past 24 hours. Now the game is also on Xbox and PlayStation, so we don't know how many. We don't know what of those numbers are PC. I would imagine a lot of them are PC players, but we don't really have, and we will never really have numbers very similar to Fortnite on how well this game is performing. Lobby times are quick. You get right into a game. It's a 60 player game, and I'm trying.
I downloaded it on my PS4, but I haven't played it yet on there. I've only played it on the PC up to this point.
So now let's talk about it. So what are your thoughts? I mean, in the scope of BR games that we have chatted about here on this program, where does Apex Legends fall into the line, Brian?
So I personally, I liked it more than the recent Call of Duty. Was it Blackout?
Yeah.
I personally, I like the feel of it more just because one thing they've done in this map is they've made it to where there's not big open spaces. I mean, there are some that are kind of, it opens up into an area, but it seemed like you're not constantly worrying about getting sniped from super far away. So you're kind of looting an area and then working your way around. I haven't been all over the map, but that's one thing about Call of Duty is that when you're in there, there's just a lot of traveling. It feels like you're traveling. This map is probably smaller but more compartmentalized, and so it didn't feel like, oh, I had to travel all this super long distance. As far as the gunplay, that's I'm gonna have to get used to the gunplay. Just like on Fortnite, you have to learn how to shoot the guns, how they work, what the damage is. But I think that with this, I don't know. I think that people will play it. Origin is the big downside, as you said. Not a lot of people use Origin, but if it's a good enough game, just like you look at Fortnite, Fortnite has how many people playing it at any one moment?
Yeah,
and it
millions
was
of
a dedicated
players.
launcher pretty much to that game for the longest time. If the game is good, people will launch any launcher to play it. And I think that if this does really well, that'll be proof of it. And I think Fortnite was proof of it.
I mean, I agree totally. I'm just, I spent a lot of time, I don't spend a lot of time, but I spend enough time browsing through Reddits, different gaming subreddits, specifically PC gaming subreddits, and there is just, and we've talked about it extensively on this program, about the just big distaste to any other launcher other than Steam, and
Yeah.
it just it makes me wonder what the longevity of this game can look like if people are unwilling to use Origin. Now, people play League of Legends and Fortnite, which are both incredibly popular games on different launchers, which have both
The
have
two
different
top
logins.
games, the two top games in Twitch
Are
pretty much one of the, usually the two top titles are standalone launchers.
Yes.
And now Fortnite was a standalone launcher. Of course, now they have the Epic launcher, and there's other games that are mixed in with that. But the two top for the past year probably have been ones that do not use Steam. And so if people, honestly, if you think that it really is that big of a deal, where are all those people coming from, and why are people playing those games?
Agreed. No, I mean, I agree with you totally. I just wonder from a marketing standpoint, EA, obviously, most people I'm sure have got Origin accounts. If you've ever played a Battlefield on PC, you have played or you've used the Origin launcher. And I agree,
Yeah.
Origin's not the greatest, but it's not going to stop me from playing a game that I enjoy. And I do. I've only played I've probably played 8 or 10 games so far, and I mean, I like it. I think it's got some different mechanics. I just don't really know. I don't really know if it's got enough. I don't know if it's got longevity. I think it's new, right? I'm able to compete in terms of kills because it's new. I'm able to kill people because they don't know the map and they don't know the guns yet. I don't know the map. I don't know the guns yet. It'll be interesting to see how and if there's when that there will be at some point when
that breaks down.
Yeah, there'll be a
people
huge
are just doing crazy shots.
Yeah, eventually it'll get to the point where PUBG is now, where it's like it's almost useless to be playing unless you're very confident with the guns in the game, because you just really can't compete. Now, fortunately, with the different armor and the different guns and the different classes, it may level out that playing field for somebody like me who doesn't have all this time to invest like some of these semi-pros, these streamers or whoever it may be.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's got a lot of it's got a lot of neat mechanics. And for the time, and oh, by the way, it's free. I think we've mentioned that, but it's free, so there's no reason to not give it.
You think this is a new kind of model going forward for perhaps EA games like this? Because EA generally charges. I mean, they generally charge $60 per title.
Yeah.
And they're pretty consistent with that. This seems to be something different. Do they have any other games that they've launched like this free to play?
I'm not sure about, definitely no BR free to play. I think they probably saw how uninterested the Battle Royale community was in the Battlefield. Which one is out now? 5 or 1? Whatever. 5.
Battlefield 5.
Battlefield 5's got a BR mode. Nope. Nobody plays it.
Yeah.
But, and I maybe that was part of it, is they, I think we talked about how people are not going to pay $30 to wink, wink, PlanetSide 2 or PlanetSide Arena, whatever they're calling it. People are not going to spend $30 to play a BR game. Now, PUBG was a little bit different. It was the first one, and it was, it was the guy from Arma, the whole thing. That was, the game was a little bit different. But since then, what paid BR games have we seen? I mean, I'm trying to think. Realm Royale's free. Is Darwin Project?
The Call of Duty one was, but that was a game mode in there. But that was the primary game.
You're correct. Call of Duty was paid for. Is Darwin Project free? I don't think it is.
Darwin Project's free.
It is free. Okay.
Realm Royale was free.
ROE is free.
ROE is free.
And then there's been a couple of other ones. So most of the BR games that have come out since PUBG, and Fortnite, of course, have been free. And I think that's really the only way you're going to try to compete in this landscape, is to make a free Battle Royale game in which you can go in and buy, I don't know what their credit system is called. Apex points, I think.
Apex points, yeah.
So you can go in and buy Apex points to get skins and things for your guns and a whole bunch of different stuff. So, I mean, that's Apex.
And one thing that was mentioned in this is that they will not be doing this came up. It is that they're not going to be doing a Titanfall 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is kind of in place of it.
I think it is. I think
they're not going to be doing a Titanfall 3.
I would guess, and I could be totally wrong, but I would guess at some point there was probably talks of doing Titanfall 3 with a Battle Royale mode in it, similar to Call of Duty and Battlefield, and the decision was made to keep it separate, which was probably good, which I think was probably a good, I don't think probably, is going to be a good way to do it. Titanfall's an alright game, but I think a lot of people dislike the Titanfall series. I played the first one and it was fine. But
I played the second one. Personally, I like the second one for the story, but
the multiplayer wasn't anything to call home about.
The multiplayer was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, the first one.
I played it for the single player story mode, and then I went and played the multiplayer, and it was just like, this is just no fun.
Yeah, I don't remember the first one being that bad, but it wasn't great. So this is Respawn's attempt. I think they've got a lot of good stuff, a lot of good things going for them. Question, of course, is going to be cheaters. What does that market do? That seems to drive a lot of these other BR games. And at this point, the verdict really isn't out. We're just gonna have to wait and see what they decide to do. But they have said, the tweet here is, let's see, how many players did they have? According to their Twitter, they said 1 million unique players in under 8 hours. Yeah. That was after the launch. This was yesterday. So within 8 hours, they had 1 million unique people install and launch the game. So that's pretty cool. But now, Brian, without going into this, too much, our friend Johnny Fine says, "They just played Apex. It's pretty good, but getting a little tired of this genre." And I know that's the feeling of not just him, but it's the feeling. I think it's the feeling of you. It's definitely my feeling. Is these BR games are fun, but I've got so many of them I'd like to play. I'd love to get back into Black. I spent $60 on it. I just haven't had I played some ROE over the week, and had a good time with that, but I haven't had a chance to play any Fortnite in at least 2 or 3 weeks. So now this new game is out, which is going to take my focus away from these other titles into Apex for the next couple days, or next couple weeks rather. So are you tired of the genre? What? I
mean, for me, there needs to be a total revamp of it for me to really be interested, because still, even with the new features, it's just an improved a slightly improved version of the exact same things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I personally enjoy playing a few games, but I can't sit there and play it day after day. It just doesn't hold my interest in that way. No matter what they did, as far as if they make it to where it's just the best that it can be of what it is, like I don't have that interest anymore to sit there and play that game style. I mean, I think it would need to be very different. I like having a more slow paced. Every single one of these super fast paced things that are like this seem to draw the cheaters in, and I think that's kind of a lot of what burns me out too. Is the games just don't feel honest. And right now, this one's fun because it feels honest. But then the second that starts to turn, and it happened in ROE when we were playing it, you start getting people that are doing questionable shots, people that are seeing you through walls. It happens every single time. And so, as far as every single game, that starts to happen. And that's where I lose interest. The genre just doesn't have any protections against that sort of thing, and it just drives me away.
And I agree with it. Now, fortunately, again, as we talked about, it does have that kind of revive system that may be able to, that maybe it's not a solution for a problem, but if you do get killed by a questionable shot and then your teammates are able to wrap up a guy, at least you're not definitely down and out for the rest of the game. So it's got that going for it. I do want to thank our friend Lockler, who subscribed to us here on Twitch. It says, "We are the best infected BR survival dynamic duo on Twitch." Thank you very much. I like that. That's what we should rename the show. The infection, the survival BR
dynamic duo.
The survival BR dynamic duo podcast. Yes, that'd be good.
We need to squeeze BR in there.
We do need to squeeze BR in there, and probably like general gaming news as well into that title. So yeah. You have anything else here on Apex, Brian?
No, I mean, just give it a try, install it. I mean, if you want to play on console, you can play a PC, whatever you want to play on. But personally, if I played this, I'd probably play it on console.
Really?
In the long run, just because I just find that there's less hackers. There's less questionable activity. I feel like the playing ground is more even there.
I think it is, yeah.
So for me, if I were going to play a game, I would probably play this on console. I think that for me, the big drawback on all BRs is because they're on PC and the hackers. So a lot of these things, I like playing certain styles of games on PC, and normally I would like to play this on PC, but I think that the whole genre has been infected by the hacking.
Infected, yes.
Not trying to throw a name in there or anything.
Oh, of course not. So I guess we'll see how they plan on dealing with hackers, but it's fun. I definitely recommend you give it a try, and of course it is a free to play game. So go ahead, reset your Origin password so you can log into your account and download Apex Legends. It's not big; it's only 12 gigabytes, which I was relieved to see when I went to install it that it wasn't going to take up a quarter of my hard drive.
But it's not the 100 and whatever of
Arc
any
or whatever other
style
game. Yeah, or the boat game they have, Atlas. Yeah. So there you go, Apex Legends. Check it out, and it is our game of the week, 8 p.m. Eastern, Friday night on Twitch, in Discord. We'll be playing this. We'll be playing in groups of 3, and honestly, we've been using the in-game VoIP. Honestly, we really haven't been using the Discord chat. Now, if we have 3 people, we probably will, but the in-game VoIP seems to work pretty well. So
all right.
That is Apex Legends. Alrighty, Mr. Aldridge, where to from here?
Well, okay, so I want to make a correction from last week. So there was one thing I was wrong about last week.
Okay.
And so we talked about the new game, the new Metro game that's coming out. And I had said that would put into question future DLCs for people that buy it on Steam. And some people said, no, that's not what it is. And so I actually went and looked and found a comment from Metro, from Deep Silver, regarding what it means for Steam going forward. And so
wait, explain what you're correcting. So what are they?
Okay, so I had said that this would put into question future DLCs for this because they're not going to be selling anymore. They won't be selling from that point on. When they did the announcement, they cut off all pre-orders, and they're not selling any more things on Steam for a year. In February on Valentine's Day of 2020, they will start to sell. They will still sell Metro Exodus on Steam at that point. So doing pretty much a 1-year exclusive deal.
Exactly. They're doing an exclusivity deal with the new Epic game launcher.
Yes. And so I had said that this would put to question the DLCs. Now, I did find a thing clarifying that from them. They said, no, all future DLCs of Metro Exodus will be released simultaneously on all platforms. So everybody who pre-ordered the game who pre-ordered up until that point of the announcement on Steam will get all of the DLCs at the correct time.
Okay.
And so if you pre-order on Steam, you'll have everything as it came out. You won't not get anything from pre-ordering it on Steam. So you're not losing anything. Now, a lot of the conflict that the people are pointing out, actually, there's a quote here. We had Saul Goodman make a comment in Discord, and he actually put quotes around it so I could quote him exactly. He said, the problem, as I understand it, and this is Saul talking, not me, isn't just the arbitrary platform change. The problem was they accepted pre-orders for months on Steam for $60, and then they announced the Epic Store exclusive, and not only that, but it's $50 on Epic on there because they get a better rate from Epic than Steam, and they aren't going to refund or do anything for the Steam buyers that paid the higher price. The Steam versus Epic launcher debate is one thing, but when you start changing prices and basically saying your SOL to the people that bought it on their preferred platform, that's when the review bombs start. Now, one thing I do want to make a correction on that is Steam's refund policy does allow them to refund. They're not up until the time of the game's release, and even afterwards, if you don't play it for a certain amount of hours and whatever the standard game release rules are,
2 hours.
Everybody who pre-ordered this game has the ability to refund the game on Steam. They're not stuck using Steam if they don't want to use Steam. If they don't want to have it be on there, if they are concerned about the $60 versus the $50, they can refund their game and then pay $50 on Epic instead and still have the game.
I've done this before, not with Epic and Steam, but I don't remember what game it was, either Call of Duty or Halo. I pre-ordered it on Amazon because I didn't want to, or I pre-ordered it way early on Amazon, like months and months and months before it came out. And then GameStop introduced a $60 version of the same game that came with pre-order bonuses through the GameStop version of the game, which is very common if you live in the United States. GameStop, is especially with Call of Duty games, gets the pre-order exclusives. So I went onto Amazon, I canceled my pre-order, and then went over to GameStop and pre-ordered it there. Now, Jay Delory is asking, if you do a refund on Steam, do you get $60 in your account or $60 Steam credit? They say depending. That
we did look up.
It says depending on if you pre-ordered it less than 3 months ago, there's a very good chance they can put it on your whatever you paid it on. If it was a credit card or PayPal or whatever. If it's longer than 3 months,
more than 3 months,
then and then even after 3 months, they still might be able to, but it depends on what platform you use to pay on. Credit cards have got rules, and debit cards and banks have
It'll go
rules.
To your Steam wallet. If it's more than 3 months ago that you did the pre-order on Steam,
and they can't refund it.
If it's more than 3 months, then they'll do it as a credit on your Steam wallet. But if you did it within the last 3 months, they'll refund your original
payment
method. Mm-hmm. And the thing is I don't see why people are so upset about this, because everybody who pre-ordered hasn't lost out on a single thing. What are they not getting that they pre-ordered for?
Now, if anything, they're getting more, because if they're getting the game on Steam, which has got, as we have talked about and as people point out, Steam has got and offers way more services right now than the Epic Game Launcher. So if anything, these Steam users should be ecstatic that they're going to be able to play this game on Steam and
just
not
have a $10 tax.
Well, yeah, there's you can pay your Steam tax, absolutely. And if you've already got the game pre-ordered on Steam, and I've been told time and time again that Steam offers way more services than Epic, which is true. Agreed.
No.
Steam has been in business way longer, and at this point in time, as we're recording this show, offers cloud saves and all this other stuff that Epic doesn't. Then there's no problem. You've got your game on Steam, you get all the DLC, and you're good to go. And JD is saying $10 for a working and proven platform. I agree totally. I think that's absolutely the way to go. If you pre-ordered this on Steam, if Steam is so much better than Epic, as everybody talks about Epic's game launcher, then you would be an idiot to refund it on Steam and then buy it on Epic for $10 cheaper.
I mean, it should be a badge of honor at that point. You'd be like, hey, I own this on Steam. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I mean
what? Why are they upset? That's the thing that I cannot figure out. I read through all the different things of people saying, here's the reasoning, here's why we're so upset. And from what I can tell, most of it is fabricated. Most of the outrage that people are showing is fabricated. People kept saying, oh, but you're not I am reading. They can refund their game. They can pay $10 less. They cannot buy the game if they want to. They can buy it on console if they want to. Do you want to know what the developer said? The developers, now this is Russian.
This is one of the developers. This isn't like the main guy. This is one of the developers. Someone from the development team. Now this is something that was translated because he originally wrote it in Russian on a forum somewhere. Gotta love it. Game developers writing on forums.
But I mean, for him, he pretty much says at the end, he says, if people boycott the game, you want to know what'll happen? We just won't release on PC. We're not going to release the next one on PC. That is our answer. Because he's like, there's no reason for them to be sitting here and talking trash about our game. He's like, we've worked so hard. We've put so much into this game. He says all these people complaining about it have no clue what it takes. And they've never done anything like this to release a game that's like our game. They have no clue what it takes to release this. And I agree, because most people don't realize the cost involved and how sometimes the margins are so thin on a game to be profitable and make it. If someone goes from saying, you know what, you can pay 30% over here, you're paying such a low percentage, that is just a guarantee that your game is going to be successful. You'll be able to get the funds to be able to make another game, and you'll be able to continue to pay your developers and not have to rely so much on extras, things that people are paying with chests and coins and all these other things.
Now, I do have some problems with this post that the developer made. They attacked the community, which is never a good way to get people to support your game and purchase your product. So that that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but they did. So this guy attacked the community. People are talking about pirating the game and saying, and now, pirate. And people are saying,
So here's the interesting thing. They're willing. They don't want to get another launcher, but they're willing to open up a torrent client, download the game, and then play it through there.
I mean, I'm scrolling through the comments on this post, and there's a group called No Exclusive Games, and the title of the
okay, but
post,
they wanted exclusive to Steam.
Stop. But the title of the group is "Fuck Epic," and that's also their image. And the description of the group is, "We don't need Epic Game Store. No mercy for Epic Game exclusive game mafia." But you're absolutely right, Brian, because if it was Steam exclusive, we'd be gung ho.
Now, and they said, and now what they're saying is they don't want Epic altogether. They don't want any competition. So they're saying they don't want exclusives, but they're saying we don't want any competition. That's the same thing as saying you want an exclusive. You saying we don't want any people that aren't Steam, because that's not, you're wanting an exclusive through Epic, but in the same breath they're saying they want exclusive Steam games, which makes zero sense.
I don't know why people are so passionate about this. I mean, it
makes no sense.
I find it honestly a little troubling, because there is this as I just read here, this Steam group has got thousands of people in it, of people that are saying, get rid of we want the Epic Game Store to burn, and I just fail to understand why. I don't really understand why the Epic, why as a consumer.
Now, Saul is bringing up a point. He says Steam doesn't feel exclusive because you can buy from dozens of stores. But the thing is all those stores that you're buying from have a Steam key that takes you back to the exact same place.
Well, yeah,
I mean, is that what they want?
I mean, if you buy if you want to buy, I'm trying to think of a good game. If you want to buy golf, I think Golf with Your Friends or one of those games, very simple game. How about Tabletop Simulator, Brian? Great example. Now, a $19 game on sale right now for $10 on the Humble Bundle store, by the way. Only available on Steam. No standalone launcher. No. I
mean, am I supposed to be outraged about that?
No, and that's kind of why
forcing me to open up Steam to play that game.
And I get it, Brian. You should be more pissed than anybody else looking at the extensive library that you have in Steam. I've only got a couple hundred games. You have thousands of games in Steam. So if there was anybody to really be outraged about this, I mean, it should be you.
Do people think that I want the Steam ship to sink? No. I mean, that's like watching my investment. It's not like it's an investment, but
Brian's 401k is invested in Steam games, and he's gonna be screwed when Epic takes
Steam goes out of business. I've got some troubles.
He's gonna be without a wife and without all of his Steam games because his investments are all gone.
Yeah. Now, and JD makes a kind of a remark here of, with all this money Steam is making, they should just be be a publishing house at this point. And part of my whole thing of saying I am perfectly happy with Steam not being the only way is because I have looked at the years and years and years of Steam that we've had experience with, and the very little amount that they actually put back into their product, and the actual little amount that they do to improve Steam itself and actually try to benefit the publishers. One thing I'll tell you that Epic has been doing is they actually will say, hey, we're giving you a free game as an influencer. We're giving you a free game. When games come out, rather than me having to approach the publishers, they're adding them to my account automatically.
Yeah, great.
Steam has never done that. Steam has no interest. Steam does everything they can to not have to do anything. They just want it to work and baseline barely, minimum amount of work. And I think that's what we've accepted. But that's my thing that I'm not happy about Steam is I just look at how little they actually do for the client. I've had to deal with their technical support. It's the worst technical support I've ever dealt with in my life. You know how many times I had to go back and forth with them, write articles, get people with tons of followers on Twitter to retweet things that I did, and I had to go through a lot of work for $2 and something cents, but for me it was principle, because I said, if you guys are willing to treat your customer like this over $2 and whatever cents, I have thousands of dollars invested into your games on your platform, right? And if you're willing to do this to me, when you go look at my account and see that I have thousands of dollars invested in your platform, and you're willing to tell me no over $2, I saw I was like, that's a bad thing. I'm willing to drop the whole thing and walk away from it if that's how they're going to treat me. And I said a hard line. I said, if they don't do right by me by this date, I'm done with Steam, and I was going to uninstall it.
Just in general, looking at the world, not video games, but just looking at the world in general, consumers are always benefited by competition. I think you can look at the most recent.
They're going to actually have to try for once.
Well, you look at the most recent big example. You look at what Amazon has done to what Amazon has done, and then what in turn Walmart has done to compete with Amazon. We're now, Brian, when we did our 200th episode or our 5-year 200th episode, you and I both went to Walmart and purchased party hats and little streamer cannons. I believe the streamer cannons were like $1.99 for a dozen, and the party hats were like 88 cents. I spent like $4 for the 2 party hats and a dozen streamers at Walmart.
Yep.
And I mean, that is just the. And I'm not trying to get into some type of big big argument on free market, or even capitalism. But the only reason that happened is because the, party store that existed in the small town in the 70s and 80s Walmart is now handling that, and Walmart.
Well, and have you seen the South Park episodes where they pretty much talk about this exact thing?
Yes.
Where the Walmart moves into town.
Yeah.
But the thing that they showed in that episode, the big secret is, everybody says, "Oh, we're mad,"
but they shop.
But you know what? They go and shop
Yeah,
there. Every single one of them.
Oh no, it's not. It wasn't Walmart. It's Whole Foods. Whole Foods move.
No, they did the one that was a Walmart.
Okay, well they do one with a Whole Foods or Trader Joe's moves in, and everybody says they hate it, but every time Randy goes there, he sees all of his friends that say they hate the store or whatever. So here's the thing: if you want to play Metro Exodus on the PC in the next year, stop bitching and complaining and open up the Epic Launcher and buy it. If you don't want to play Metro Exodus in the next year, but this game will be on Steam next year. If you don't want to play it until next year, then don't play it or go buy it on a console. Yeah. It's very simple. It's not like the game does. I mean, I'm all for outrage when outrage is needed. We have been. There's a story coming up later on in this program that's a little outragey and with another developer. When there's a reason to be outraged, I'll be the first one to grab the pitchfork and go stand outside of somebody's house. But this whole nonsense is not. Now, again, I do not agree with the developer for coming out and attacking the community. Never a good idea. And they probably lost a lot of sales because of that. And they've got to pay the consequences of that employee. But the and he made a good point in it, is a lot of the people that are outraged were never purchasing the game anyway. And I know that's not the most popular thing to say, but it is the honest truth. People love to bitch and complain about all of these games, and nobody ever play. The people that are complaining never buy it. They never do. We've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, and so if anything, I mean, the whole thing for me comes back to, if you should be upset with anyone, you really should be upset with Steam. First of all, because Steam is charging a 30% markup on every single game that you buy through there. 30% is a huge amount of money. And that just makes no sense. It would be stupid for any developer to come in and say, you know what, I'm not going to, first of all, if Epic is offering you a huge amount of money, or they're willing to not take, a cut of your profits for the first however many months, or who knows what kind of deal they worked out. But I mean, for them, like, it just makes sense. Steam has never adjusted, has never had competition. So they have an incredibly unrealistic charge that they do for all developers that use their platform. And so I think that this competition, if anything, I don't know why Steam has not come in and said, you know what, we're revisiting our structure, and we're going to charge 15%. Like, I've heard no hints of that, and I've seen no hints of it. I think that Steam just doesn't feel like there's enough competition yet for them to actually have to try. I think that's the point where they're at.
I would agree.
But enough of these happen. I mean, enough of these big titles start pulling away. Maybe Steam will actually think of their customer. Not that they're doing it by choice, but they'll be forced to act like at least they're thinking of their customer first.
And again, fortunately, based on what I've seen online, Steam is so much better than Epic in what it offers right now, which I would agree is absolutely the case. Fortunately, in this situation, if you already purchased the game, you're good to go. You paid your $10 Steam tax, and you're good. You still have full access to the game. You'll get it all. There won't be any problems. So,
yep.
I mean, in my opinion, I just don't see where the big issue is. But hey, that's just me. I don't know. If you've got an opinion on it, you could you can tweet us. We're at InfectionCast, or you can comment, of course, on our YouTube channel, or if you're going to leave something in Discord, just at Brian and I, and we'll copy it into our notes, or post your comment in the news channel too. That's always a way to do it. Yep. And that's
what Saul did with his comment.
Or double post it in the general and news, and then we'll we'll bring it up on the next program. We'd love to hear from you and see what you think about this. I know this is a very controversial thing. A lot of people passionate on both sides of it. So yeah, let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
All right. So do you care to discuss a certain Kickstarter that ended 5 days ago, or ends in 5 days?
It ends in 5 days. Yes. This is a game that we've been talking about now for 4 weeks. Remnants. They released a Kickstarter, and as last week's show, they had 34 backers. Now they're up to 37 backers, and they've raised $1,330 out of their $21,770 goal, with 5 days left to go. So they will not be hitting their goal. Again, still possible. 5 days. We've seen comebacks before, but it seems they have 37 backers.
Highly unlikely.
37 backers in 25 days.
It's been like $100 or less in the last week.
Yeah. It's been pretty bad. Now, we discussed last week a couple of reasons why. There's a lot of stuff in this genre. There's a lot of different games out here. And frankly, people have just been burned by Kickstarters, especially in the video game realm, the 100 times. I mean, it's over and over and over again. So
and I mentioned last week, like I called this before, and I said this would be my test. Remember, right? I said this will be the test. I think that Kickstarter is no longer a good place to start your games on anymore. I said, let's watch Remnants. Let's see what happens with Remnants. And this is one of the biggest failures we've seen in a while. I mean, it's as far as Kickstarter numbers.
Yeah.
Now I saw a tweet, and I messaged Nick because I was kind of surprised to see this tweet. And this is from the Remnants game. So it's at Remnants Game is their Twitter. And I'm just going to read you the tweet, and let's see. This is not what I was expecting to hear, halfway to 3/4 of the way through their Kickstarter. I'm not dead, haha. Just haven't had a system for 2 weeks. So I'm back to work now on getting Remnants up and running for phase 2 co-op testing. This is yesterday that he tweets this. This
system
is with
would be
5
computer,
days
right?
left. Yes.
Okay.
First of all, there's got to be more than one person, right?
I don't know.
And
there isn't more than one, yeah.
How does a developer use the excuse of, I didn't have a computer for 2 weeks? Do you not have a phone? I mean, to use the Diablo love reference, do you not have phones? I mean, do you not have a phone on this? I mean, come on. Like, you're telling me you didn't tweet during your whole Kickstarter because your computer was down? It was just crazy to me. Like, I saw this and I was just shocked. I was like, are you kidding me? First of all, how old is this guy? I asked Nick, I said, how old is this guy? He's like, no, he's got a kid. Yeah, he's got a kid at least.
I think he's got a kid.
So I've never heard from an adult someone pull this excuse of I've been gone because I didn't have a system. Every adult I know has a phone.
Our friend Heisenberg pulled that when he couldn't play
he was online. I was talking to him on Facebook. I mean, he let us know, like, this guy's in the middle. This guy's in the middle of his Kickstarter, and he says that he couldn't even do a single tweet for 2 weeks because of this. I was just shocked. I was like, this is the most amateur move I've ever seen. I mean, I've never. Maybe if he was a little kid and he got grounded from using his computer, I would expect a comment like this, but not from an adult. I was shocked.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, this isn't the best. This isn't the best look for a new developer. There's a couple of other places that they could go with this, but obviously this Kickstarter.
It's going to look really bad for him, though.
Oh, it looks awful. I mean, it looks terrible. Their only tweets during their Kickstarter were tweeting at influencers and asking for them to play their game. I mean, you can see.
Yeah, not talking the community at all.
Yeah.
There's no interaction with their community.
Yeah, there's.
It's just the craziest thing I've ever seen unfold in a Kickstarter like this. And just when I saw this tweet, I mean, that was just over the top to me. I would be embarrassed to say it that.
There's 8 total tweets that include tweeting in threads of people between when they launched their Kickstarter and this tweet yesterday. 8 total tweets, and 6 of those 8 were in threads to get people to play the game.
Yeah, it's all just, hey, Mr. Breach, hit me up in PM if you're interested in playing the game out in its early stage. Hey, Ozzy. Let's see. Yeah, he's just tweeting people's name. Someone asked him, is the game servers up? Currently, it is offline due to no funding.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a mess.
Yeah. So it's got 5 days left. So if somehow you feel like you need to go, and again, I said this last week, but they made no effort, in my estimation, to really get out into the community. I mean, in terms of getting this game in people's hands or even talking to people, I'd use us as a great example, which just kind of indicates that maybe they're not super serious about this. That's just, again, I don't know, but that based off of what I am seeing from this, that appears to be the case. No social media presence during your pretty expensive Kickstarter. $21,000 is no, they weren't trying to raise $5,000. I mean, you're talking, $21,000 is a lot of money.
One thing that I don't think they understand is, even if they would have come in and talked to us in that one episode, they only have 141 followers on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, in that one episode, they would have reached so many more people than them sending out a tweet. I just don't know. Like, they're thinking, if we don't get Dr. Disrespect and we don't get these guys, that, it's not worth it. Well, obviously their thinking's in the wrong place. They're not trying to get their game out to anybody who's willing to listen. Like, they're being they're very weird about it. Like, this is just very weird to me. It makes zero sense. This whole thing is just very odd. I don't honestly get it.
It is definitely very odd. There's no doubt about it. So,
I mean, I don't know. We'll see if they move forward with it. XERA's Kickstarter, he wasn't able to make funding. But the thing is he was active. Like, he really worked at it. That was a Kickstarter failure. Kickstarter is just not. But Kickstarter's not a good place, and they're not even trying at all. Like, it's a double whammy for them. Someone saw with Josh that he has the talent, he has the passion, and so they funded him to be able to move forward with this. I just don't see these guys getting funding from anyone if this is the effort they put forward. And I don't see someone come and say, hey, I saw a lot of hope in your game, and I'll fund you. No, I just don't see that happen. I think that this may be the last that we hear of Remnants, personally.
It appears to be trending in that direction. It's a shame. But, part of you, I guess, and again, I've never done a Kickstarter, so, take that for what it's worth, but it just doesn't seem like this was the approach to kickstarting a game, was to kind of go with total radio silence throughout the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And they say they have an active Discord. I mean, what did I say? There was, let's see if I can find it real quick. There are 95 people online in that one tab, and there are 530 offline, and then probably another 50 or 60 under different ranks. So they've got,
and that's the thing, is they've got a total of 800 people, yet 37 of those people, maybe if they're in there, have backed the game.
Yeah. There's
a disconnect between their community, because if their community is not even bothering to Kickstarter it, yet they have all those people that are supposedly interested in it, that's just insane to me. And you've been in there. Have they reached out there? Have they been talking to their community, to the Discord, doing anything?
Let's see. Talk about adding rifles. If the Kickstarter fails, will the game be delayed? Yes, the game will take longer to get to early access. So I guess they're planning on continuing with it. But that's about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Remnants. So by the next show, it will be done with Kickstarter. Maybe we'll mention that it didn't make funding, but we'll see if it pops up again later down the road. I just don't know if it will.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame, but we'll see. Fortunately, there's plenty of other games out in the marketplace, so we'll move on, right? Onward and upward.
All right, so we'll just mention XERA, because that was one that Kickstarted that we talked about months ago, and he put out a patch, and this is the 0.2.3. He mentioned actually during our live broadcast last week that he was implementing Easy Anti-Cheat, so they did get that in there. So Easy Anti-Cheat is integrated into the system now, and they added a report option, so you can hold down P and it will report somebody. He put in there a helicopter travel system. So if you're at one of the at the bases that they have, you're able to travel between the different safe zones and using the helicopter. And what you can actually do is jump out of the helicopter at any point between those two areas. So it's a way that you can quickly get across the map. Other than that, he did a lot of fixes, improving some sounds, and they'll be doing a test. Now I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to be a part of that for the sign up, which actually has our reference code on there. So it just marks it down for him, knowing that it came through us.
Yes.
But we'll put a link in there if you want to sign up. He's going to be doing an open, I guess it's kind of a closed, or is it a closed test, where as long as you sign up, you'll be able to get a key and you'll be able to try it out this weekend. So if you're interested in that, and I'll try to get a group together on Saturday, get some people, and we'll jump in and do some and play around with it. So anybody who wants to do that, jump into our Discord on Saturday, and we'll play a couple games of that and see how it's doing.
Yes, yeah, and do that, please. Sign up for that, and if you're going to sign up, use our code. It reflects well on us if our community signs up using that code. So it looks like it's going to start at 2 p.m. Eastern time on February 8th, so Friday night. So, Friday afternoon, and it'll run probably through the 10th. So it'll run through the weekend, and Saturday.
Yep.
We'll get a group together. That'll be fun. No excuse to not have a code. You have plenty of time, and the link is in our show notes on our website, which is infectionpodcast.com. You have a game giveaway here, Brian?
Let me I'll have to get it all ready here.
All right. Well, while Brian's doing that, this is a game we talked about a little bit earlier. We're just going through some quick show notes here. Let's talk about our friends at Realm Royale real quick. They did a small update here. One of the things that a couple of the patch highlights that they call here is they are introducing catapults, which are going to be across the map, and you get into these things and you can launch yourself into the sky and travel across the map at a fast speed. So this is kind of like a teleport or warp system. You can get shot at in this, so you're not prone to that, but it is a way to kind of do a fast travel, which I find a little bit odd for this game, due to the fact that with the horses you can already travel very quick across the map. But nevertheless, I guess they feel the need to that. So catapults are now in the game. You can check those out. They've got another new weapon in here. It's a light machine gun, and it will only drop from the loot goblins and legendary chests. It's a legendary weapon that excels at mid-range combat. With its massive clip size, the LMG can pin enemies down if they're in cover, or lay waste to them if they're into the open. And it's only available in those, again, the loot goblins and the legendary chests. They've updated the forges. They've moved the Icehaven Forge to a new building on the Ice Lake. For people that know that one, that is on the southern tip of that lake. It's a house kind of sitting by itself. So they've moved that one into a building now in the middle of the frozen lake. So that will now be in the middle of that lake, which is in the northeastern corner of the map. You can go in there and check that out. And the Forge Crossing has been updated to fit better theme of the era. So the Forge at the Crossings has been updated. They've just made a couple of gameplay changes to weapons with reload times and unscope accuracy. They've changed some cooldown effects with healing. A couple of quality of life improvements. They've done some things with the emotes. done some keyboard or some rather controller mapping to trigger certain emotes on controllers. They've polished weapon textures, added gun part animations with better video effects and sound effects, updated the shotgun, slug rifle, and heirloom rifle models themselves, updated the weapon icons to better match the texture and the model changes that they implemented, and then a whole handful of UI changes, as well as some bug fixes. And but Brian, it's a pretty significant patch here. Not obviously not a lot of new content, but they do have the catapults, and I think this is a screenshot of. This is kind of what they're going for with the loot lake, or it's not loot lake, that's Fortnite. But this ice lake up in the northeast corner of the map. This is the forge. Let's see if I can get my little annotator out here and draw for our video, our video friends here. The forge was previously in this building, over in the lake, and now it's in a much larger castle-looking building in the middle of that lake. So they've pulled it out of what was just a small 2-story building into a much larger POI. So they've done a pretty significant change with that there. And then obviously something we talk about a lot with these games, quality of life, updating gun models, the effects of the models, the sound. Those are all little things that are super. We saw Ark do this extensively for months. Just go through and fix and fix and fix and fix. And people don't notice it, but it's a huge deal.
Yep. And so they've been making pretty constant updates to it. So I think that's good.
Again, another free-to-play game. If you haven't tried it, check it out. It is free. Yeah,
it is fun. It is a fun game too. So, all right. So let's go ahead and do this. Will be a 60-point giveaway. So exclamation point giveaway in chat. And I'm going to be giving away a copy of Zombie Army Trilogy. So Zombie Army Trilogy, it's a zombies action co-op World War II horror game. Very positive rating on Steam. So if you're interested in that, exclamation point giveaway in chat, and we will give away here before the end of the show.
All right. Let's see. So we've covered Realm. What else? What else? What else you want to cover here? What do you want to go to next?
Well, let's talk about Atlas, because they actually did do some pretty big updates. They actually have a lot of updates that they have done.
Okay.
And so the last one, I always put what the current is. Last time, 16.26 was the current. They're now up to 18.31. And so I'm not going to go through all the different things, because it's actually quite a few notes that they've done. But they did do, one of the biggest things is Linux works. I don't know if that was last week, but I think the last week I was waiting still, if I remember correctly.
You were.
But Linux, it now works. So you can host a server on Linux, which makes my tool much more useful. Before, it wouldn't save games. So it would launch, but every time you restarted the server, you would have to delete the saved games. They did correct that issue. Then the issue was when you start up your server, it was 100% to 105% of each core. Of a core was what each server instance did. Of course, you want to have multiple ones put together. So it was using a lot of the CPU just idling. And so we reported a lot of that. And they did get it to where it went from, I think the frames per second on the server were 4 frames per second originally, up to, I think it's now 30 frames per second. The ping before was like 200 and something. And now it's down to like 26 is what mine is. And then they cut the CPU usage in half. So that was a huge improvement for hosting. So it makes it where it's actually possible. Other than that, they fixed a lot of server crashes. They went through and added a crab that carries a lot. So adding some different creatures and things. They did a lot of balancing, and I don't know if it's still at the point where you'd really want to go play. I think a lot of people kind of got turned off for a while, but they are trying to create one thing that they'll be adding. So they put in here some of the future things that they're doing by late February is adding daily missions, because it's kind of making it more of an MMO RPG style, is what people I think were kind of expecting, having missions and NPCs and everything. So they're going to be having daily missions for players. and a reward system for that. 7 more main quests, which when you complete them, you get unique skill unlocks. The guillotine, they're talking about putting that in there, and then curses that are tied to when you execute someone, there's a curse. Giant crab, which can carry heavy loads. A submarine, which I think would be one of the more interesting things.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
That you can use. Also, they're putting in ocean trenches, so something to take that submarine to and go discover. Also, player shops. So in the free ports, players can set up shops that are automated and list things for sale, and naming their own gold piece prices. So they can, I guess, if you claim that, that's going to be quite a thing to balance. How do you make it so one person has that shop in the prime location on a server and have them not just mark the prices like crazy? Unless there's you can have a number of shops in there. Who knows?
I'm sure there'll be a number of shops. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can actually have to have competition. Then new cosmetics, and they're going to be changing it so that the Ship of the Damned have multiple sizes and stats and difficulty levels. So a little more variation as you're going around. They're not all just different colored versions of the same ship. So those are the things that you're looking forward to. Other than that, mostly fixes, balancing of things up to this point. No major new things that I've really seen in all these notes. Yeah, I don't see a lot of like, here's a new thing that we added. So I think that's going to be coming next month.
You played a lot more Atlas than I did. Do you, at this point in time, game's been out a month and a couple days now, maybe a month and a week, 2.
Yeah.
Do you have any interest in playing this game right now?
No, not right now.
You're doing server work for the game, but you really have no interest in playing it.
I start the server, but that's more interesting to me than the game right now.
That's a problem.
Yeah. And so that the issue is what do you do? Like you just keep doing the same PvP. Like I think people went into it thinking there was going to be more depth, that it wasn't going to be like Ark about building a bunch of ships, or what Ark turned into, taming as many dinosaurs as possible and making a giant base. Well, okay, what's the depth beyond that in Ark? I don't think there is any depth beyond that. And so I think here there's even less depth. I mean, you can build ships and you can go out and destroy ships, but really it's the system is so buggy at the moment that becomes kind of frustrating to deal with. And then they've relied on doing the things that people hated the most about Ark, was when huge clans of people would come in and just destroy things for fun. Like, people didn't like that. And so I think that's where they've really doubled down on the parts that people didn't like about Ark and put it in here. Green Man says there are bosses to fight in Ark and caves. So that's kind of the end game that they put in there. But once you've done it a couple times, it just becomes a grind for resources for your tech gear. I mean, it kind of turns into not really, oh, this is fun because it's immersive. And I think that if you look at Conan, I think they did a much better job of the dungeons feeling like they just weren't something that you ran down to get to the end to get something. I just never felt in Ark, when we did those dungeons, that there was any more depth than we run to the end, we shoot something, and then, we kill something, and then we're done. So I think that they're going to have to do a lot more than that in this, making the battles with the sea creatures epic, or things that you're doing on an island epic, to bring people in and say, okay, there's more depth to this, and they can't have everything be totally destroyed and lost. I mean, there's permanent loss in a game like this is very difficult. Either they need to make it really easy to get stuff, or they need to make it hard to totally lose everything. When you have huge clans of people coming in that can instantly destroy, I mean, we're going and sinking people's things for fun, Yeah,
which is part of the game. I mean, that's the big thing in Rust, is obviously raiding each other's bases.
But is that what the game is? That's what they need to decide.
That's what Rust is.
What this game is. Yeah, but I think even the developers don't like the fact that it is that. They've accepted it because people are playing it.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think that they want this game to turn into Rust. I mean, I hope not.
No, I don't.
But it seems like they are going that way.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate because they've now got such bad PR. They've just got bad PR. Right, or just right off the bat. I mean, I've already played the game. I don't have any interest in jumping back in and playing it. I don't have any interest.
Not yet. They're gonna have to create a lot more content, like actually create content for me to want to go in and play something that I'm actually discovering. Because did you ever get the feeling that you're actually discovering anything when you played?
No, I don't think so.
I just every place we went, there was tons of ships, and there was no like, oh, we discovered this, or like this feels new and fresh, or there's something on this island like that we need to figure out. Like it's all just the same island, maybe different creatures on it. We found some buildings, but we knew that there was no point to any of the buildings. So that you weren't like, oh, I'm going to go and find this building. I'm going to go look in this building and see if there's something cool. There was none of that because you knew it was just a prop. It was purely just a object on the landscape that had no meaning whatsoever. And there was really nothing to discover in the whole place. And so that, I think, is what they're going to have to get over. They're going to have to make that feeling of discovery, because that's kind of the point of sailing the seas, and you're discovering things and conquering things. And there's no sense of that in the game right now.
They have definitely got an uphill battle. We'll cover it in current players, but they've definitely got an uphill battle on their hands. There's no doubt about it. I do want to thank our friend UGX Vibe, who subscribed to us here 12 months in a row on a tier 1.
He's got more months than I do.
A 12-month tier 1 Twitch subscription. He says a whole year, but he's been here since episode 1. Thank you, UGX Vibe. We appreciate it, and I guess maybe I should apologize that he's been here since episode 1. I'm sorry. This is a long time. It's 211 now and 212 episodes of this nonsense every week. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Congratulations.
It's like torture.
You made it this far.
You watched that episode? Have you watched Jack Ryan at all?
Yeah.
It's like the episode. It's like when they have the terrorist in the cell, and they're playing like country music really loud with their faces. Yeah. And that's kind of like this. You just you got somebody locked up. You play the Infection podcast. Brian screaming about China and Epic Games and
China.
Yeah. So there you go. We appreciate it. Real quick, I'm not trying to go back to the whole Epic Games thing, but I'm on Twitter here during the show, of course, not paying attention, and a guy I follow on Twitter, Paul Source Jr., popular YouTuber. His name used to be, I watched him forever ago. I think his name was Minecraft Dad. This is ages ago, like probably 10 years ago. I was watching this guy, and he tweeted out that on with the move of Metro to Epic, all Metro games on Steam, every Metro game on Steam has got mostly negative reviews over the past like 10 days. So people are now going and leaving negative reviews on old Metro games because they're pissed off. My response to him was such stupid outrage. Competition in the marketplace always benefits the consumer. His response back to me: tell me about it. My cable company holds all the chips, and I just get to grin and bear it because there's no competition.
Yep. And that's the thing. This is going to do nothing, I suspect, but other than possibly have them pull all the games from Steam and put them on Epic. All of them.
Yeah.
I mean, if people are going to treat it this way, say, all right, we'll go to a platform where people are willing to treat our game honestly. And this is obviously there's an issue with the review system when people are just going and doing that for the sake of doing it, when it has nothing to do with the actual playability of the game.
And this is a guy on YouTube that's been on since 2008, so I was right, about 10 years, and he's got 1.5 million subscribers on his channel. He clearly understands how this whole thing works instead of just being outraged for no reason. Again, wasn't trying to bring us back to that, but that just happened during the program here. So yeah. Now, again, so great. So Epic Games doesn't have a review system, but Steam's got a review system in which people can go back and, because they're pissed off on what a new Metro game is going to be, leave terrible and awful reviews on old games. Is that the system that we want? Is that the fair system that I'm paying $10 extra in my Steam tax for? That wonderful system that Steam's got?
But also, a lot of these reviews are people just making silly remarks, trying to get people to vote for them. I mean, they're making just silly, they're not even real reviews on a lot of them. They're just trying to make the most silly comments they can so people will will upvote or whatever they do in Steam for a comment. And so it's not even really a review system. There are people that will go in and give honest reviews, but there's so many fake reviews as far as it has nothing to do. Or if you go in there, I've had it to where, a game that I played 1,000 hours of. I know Donnie did this recently for DayZ, a game where you play 1,000 hours and then you say, you know what, I don't recommend you buy this game. Then you have these people automatically come back with, you have 1,000 hours and you're telling me not to buy it? Yeah, I'm telling you not to buy it. The game right now is not worth it. Don't buy it. You get it's just stupid. Why don't you just base it purely on how many hours people have played if that's all you care about? Why don't they have a thing, average hours played by, that would be a good stat. How about average hours played by people who own the game? That would probably tell you more than anything about what the game is reviewed.
I would agree.
So I just think the review system is kind of silly. But
clearly it's very silly. No, you don't have to think it's very silly. Clearly it is very silly. Old Metro games are getting negative reviews because of something they are doing now on a new, different Metro game. Tell me how that's a good system. Explain to me how that's a system.
But the thing is, Steam will not fix it.
Me as a consumer, going and looking at an old Metro game going, should I buy this? When the most recent reviews are listed as mostly negative on Steam. How does that help me as the consumer make an informed decision on if I should spend or not spend my money on a game? How does that help me?
It doesn't. And I think but it's gotten to a point where that's not what the review system is anymore.
It's nonsense. People just need to grow the hell up and get over it.
Yeah.
You don't like something, then get over it. All the time.
Don't play it.
Negative reviews on our podcast on YouTube. Negative reviews. Don't watch the damn show. I don't care. Why would you subject yourself to something that is negative and you don't like? I mean, it's the most asinine thing. Guess what? I don't like Atlas. Guess what? I don't play Atlas. It's very simple.
And that's the way that you show them. If the player numbers are low.
But I didn't leave a negative review. I just didn't like it's just not for me right now.
Not your style of game, yeah. Right now.
Okay. Now could I actually leave a negative review on Atlas? I probably could actually. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to leave a negative review just tearing apart the game. And then I'm going to go back on Ark and leave a negative review on Ark because Atlas sucks.
Yeah.
That's going to help somebody make an informed buying decision on Ark. Me being a jackass and leaving negative reviews on other games by Wildcard. That's the solution to the problems.
And that's the thing is, if the reviews were, hey, here's the mechanics of the game. Personally, these aren't something that I don't enjoy these mechanics. But if that was what it was about, like, here's what the game is. If that's your kind of game, try it. But most of these reviews are just, they're not informative. If they've done a system where certain reviews will come to the top, but I find that it's usually not because they're good reviews. They're just the most entertaining reviews. If they had a system to truly cultivate, this was helpful and the real reviews would come to the top better, then it may have a point. But right now, there's no point to it. And all they're going to do is just start making these developers mad to where they're like, all right, we have another option now and it's way better for us.
Here's a beneficial review. It's a not recommendation on Metro The Last Light. This is a negative review 3 days ago. Not supporting Deep Silver anymore. Removing Exodus from Steam is a terrible move.
Yeah.
So this is a negative review from somebody on an old game based on actions on a new game. Yep. Explain it to me. Explain to me how this is helpful. Somebody. Mostly negative reviews in the last 30 days. 22% of 4,000 reviews in the last 30 days are positive. Now, fortunately, Steam has actually got a little system in place here that says high volume of negative reviews detected January 30th through February 2nd. So I can exclude or view only reviews from this date. So we're going to view only between this date. And that's all it's going to be. This is the response. Middle fingers in, what is it called when people draw stuff in? ASCII. Middle fingers in ASCII that say Epic Store Deep Silver. Those are the reviews on this game. I mean, that's very helpful. This is a very helpful post for me as a consumer trying to make an informed buying decision.
Yeah.
I'm glad Steam's got a review system. It clearly works pristine, very well.
I think
system
I think that's just another selling point for the studios, because when you have a system like that, I mean, it's just like the YouTube comment system and all this. If you're trying to sell a product on YouTube, good luck, because if it turns into a meme, you can tank your whole company overnight on YouTube. And so that's a big risk. And I think as you've seen on here, when there's not a platform for people to try to make fake outrage, they don't have to worry about this anymore. And if they don't allow this sort of stuff on the Epic Store, then these studios don't have to worry about these mobs coming in and trying to sway people's opinions.
We got to get off this topic. We can't talk about this anymore. I just wanted to bring that up. I wasn't trying to bring us back onto it, but
okay. Well,
I just didn't see that previously, and I'm glad I saw that, because that's a real shame that's going on. That's a real shame.
So let's talk really quick about Fortnite.
My favorite, yes.
I mean, you got to talk about these guys. Do you hear negative things about Fortnite? I mean, do you, other than maybe talking amongst people and them giving their comments online, do you hear a major amount of negative Fortnite news?
No, I mean, it's always the most, that and League of Legends are always the most viewed games on Twitch. So people are clearly interested in watching. So no, I don't really hear a whole lot of negative.
Because I think that they do a very good job of controlling it, but they also don't have a place for you to go and do this. Like, there's no one place where you go and say, I'm going to go trash Fortnite. But they did put out their 7.3 patch. They do have a new object called the bottle rockets. There's actually a video. I don't know if you want to play that really quick. Yep, just showing how that works. But this is a stream of rockets that will barrage an enemy location. So here is the bottle rockets. Now is that, yeah, and it does building destruction as well.
They're mortars, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep, and it will throw them onto the location and hopefully kill whatever's inside. Also, they have environmental campfires. So these are campfires that people can gather around, and it will actually heal people. And then they have a limited time mode, Wild West Duos. So fight for a victory royale using a limited set of weapons and items such as the hunting rifle, shotguns, and dynamite. And so this is says increase, and so for this they're increasing the chance of slurp juice to appear in supply drops, and unvaulted the revolver and the double barrel shotgun for this mode. So then they added it says vaulted boombox. Yeah, and then they just added tweaked a few other items. But they also on here did something interesting this past week. So there's a concert. It's like 10 minutes. I don't know if you just want to play part of it, but this is a concert that happened just all of a sudden out of the blue. So this was a live event.
Yeah, I don't want to play too much of the audio and get copyright striked on YouTube. But so this is in. Was there no?
This was in game.
So there was no, like, you couldn't. This looks like it's a pregame lobby thing because everybody's jumping with their. Nobody's.
Well, no. So what it seems to be doing is through different parts of the music, like it has different things happening. Huh. So like right now, because it's really fast paced, like everybody's hopping around, and then when it gets to a slower song, like they can't move as fast. Like it kind of matches.
This doesn't look like
tempo.
This doesn't look like people. I'm trying to decide: is this a pregame lobby or is this in a game?
I'm not sure. I would assume it wouldn't be in a game. I assume it wouldn't be in a game. Like I don't know how they pulled this off, other than maybe for a lobby, like they just threw everybody into a concert.
Huh. Well,
but like it's doing choreographed dancing. Like it's pretty incredible. It's 10 minutes, and it was a DJ that did this, and it's like a live show. And it just pretty much goes nuts for 10 minutes.
This is like MMO style stuff. Like, I mean,
yeah, an event. Like they did this in WoW. They used to do this in WoW.
I mean, it's like a WoW RuneScape event. Weapons were disabled. Yeah. Okay, well that explains it.
Yeah, but how they get everybody to go there? Other than it started like there was an announcement at the beginning of the game.
Who knows?
We're going to be doing this. Like, it's just interesting. I saw that, and imagine the amount of work that they did just to pull off that event, because they had all these motion captured dancers and all this stuff going on. They motion captured the DJ as he did his performance. Everything like this, they did a good job.
Check this out. I just found this in a related video. Some guy made a 360-degree panoramic view of this same concert on YouTube. So you
I think they offered it like they said they were going to be releasing. Maybe it was him, but yeah, I saw things saying they were going to release.
Yeah, check. I mean, so I'm moving this. Like I'm the one moving this around. I mean, that's pretty damn cool. That's a YouTube thing, but I mean, that's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, tell me that. I mean, that's cool, dude. I don't care what any.
So you can
like or hate the game. That's pretty freaking awesome.
So I mean, I saw that. This is just the kind of stuff that they do.
Well, and again, this is the kind of stuff.
The top game.
This is the kind of stuff that when people say, "Well, I don't like Fortnite," I like Fortnite, but I really like the kind of out of the box thinking that Epic does with a BR game. I mean. Could you imagine PUBG doing anything like this? Could you imagine PUBG doing something where across all the servers at the same time, like the snow event they did 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Impossible.
They wouldn't be able to do it.
And they wouldn't even think about doing it. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. It's not that they're bad developers or that they're bad this or bad that. There is just a level of, it seems like, and I don't work inside of Epic Games, but it seems like there's a culture inside of Epic Games that says, give us your idea, employees, and we'll just try it. I
that's
can't
what
imagine.
Google used to do.
Yeah,
that's one reason why Google was so successful. Google would give you 20% time to work on your own project, whatever you were passionate about. You had 20% of your time you could do your own thing, and some of the best ideas came out of that because they would allow people to make things.
Yeah,
and here I just feel like there's kind of the same culture as you said of if you got something cool, like throw it at us. We're not going to laugh at anything. And we'll look at it, and if it's possible, we'll do it.
I can't imagine a top executive at Epic was sitting in his plushy office saying, "You know what we need in game? A concert, an in-game
with
live
Marshmallow,
concert
whatever his name is,
with some DJ." I can't imagine
Marshmallow Head or whatever he is.
I can't imagine that came from the top. That came from a developer. Hell, that may have even come from some influencers. That may have even come from the DJ himself who said, hey,
I'll do a live concert.
I'll do a concert in game. That, I mean, and it got run up the ladder and it happened. I mean, there is something to be said for that. Again, like or hate the game, there's something very special about what they're doing. And they're really setting the bar for other developers in regards to what is off limit. I mean, they're changing it. None of this stuff is off limits. Server-wide events that change how a game plays in the middle of a game
real time
is unheard of. Now, WoW probably had stuff like that, but WoW's an MMO.
But it wasn't drastically changing. Like whenever they had to do a major change, like it was next time you log in after we do a large patch, there will be a drastic change to the world. But they weren't able to do the technology, the servers that they were running on and the engine. Like they weren't able to do this in real time, and these guys control the engine. If anything, this is an excellent way of them to show off the capabilities of the engine. For major studios looking, hey, what engine should we use for our next project? Well, look at this. Like you can do real world, the whole world changes on in the middle of whatever's happening. They're doing an excellent job of showing off the capabilities of this engine. If anything, I mean, it's cool for the players. But I think that we're just going to continue to see more and more players or more and more developers using this engine. Yeah. Because I can't imagine them trying to do this on CryEngine. I mean, good night.
Yeah,
you can barely get storage.
It would not be a Fortnite, Brian. It would be a good night.
Yeah. So
that was a good joke. Okay.
All right.
Moving on.
Yeah, good night, Fortnite.
All right.
So let's see.
Where to?
Let's talk. Here's a game I haven't brought up for a while.
Okay.
Actually, wrong one. Sorry, right below that. Life is Feudal.
Okay.
And PH actually, I didn't see the update happen. PH sent a message in Discord with this, but I don't know if you remember. Life is Feudal is like that really hardcore open world game that they started out with. Life is Feudal Your Own.
The doors didn't work.
Was the no, that was the one I almost clicked on. That's the one above this one.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got confused. Yeah, my bad.
Life is Feudal is the one that was just like a super hardcore survival game that they released part of it first just to get funding, and then they released this huge MMO.
Yes, I got you.
Okay, so that is Life is Feudal. Now I haven't heard anything about it for a long time, and then they released this big map, big update. Now, first of all, they're doing a new map in this. And this map, the size of it is really what caught me. It's 1,296 square kilometers.
That's quite a map.
It is a gigantic. Now, this I remember when they first were saying our MMO is going to have a big map, and what they said was the original one was 441 kilometers squared. Now, not the original Life is Feudal one, but the one that when they released this MMO, the big one, was 441 kilometers squared. This one is now, it's 3 times bigger, and that is just a gigantic map. So what's a big map that you can think of, like in another game? Like, what do you think of when you think of big map? Like, usually people say DayZ.
Yeah, DayZ's got a pretty big map. I don't know.
I just want to give it perspective. I want to look up a game that you think of as a big game.
I'm trying to think of something I've played. I mean, Atlas has got a very large map. How does it compare to Atlas? And I know Atlas is all water, but
they're grids though. So
okay,
the land masses across all of them is 45,000 square kilometers
in Atlas.
But that's with 700. Let's see.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to think of something.
Well, theirs works weird because it works in grids.
Okay.
So you'd have to compare all of those linked together. This is one solid map.
I mean, PUBG's got a pretty big map.
All right, so let's look. Yeah, so let's look up the PUBG, and now they'll have a couple different ones. So
yeah,
PUBG,
their main map is pretty big, from what I remember.
All right,
it felt like a big map.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to see. So 64 kilometers squared is the size of Erangel. Sorry. Erangel is 64 kilometers squared. Miramar was 64 kilometers squared. Now, a lot of that was water. Sandhawk was 16 kilometers squared. And then the Kendi, their new one, is 36 kilometers squared. So this one is 1,296 kilometers squared. So just to give you a perspective, like it's a huge map. So, but that's so they're actually merging some servers and doing things in preparation for this big map. So if you were on another server, you may be merged into another one. They're redoing the progression system, doing a new skill tree, reworking how the trade system works. One thing that was interesting in here is they actually have kind of like a mentorship. They call them counselors. And very advanced veteran players can actually get rewards for helping newer people. So if there's a new person, the counselor can go in there and kind of work with them, and the veteran players actually get rewards and things for doing it. So that's kind of a unique thing. I haven't really seen that in another game, a way that actually gets them to interact in a good way. Then they have what they call natives. And so these are inhabitants of the world that you see that are in there. It says native inhabitants of this world will appear mostly in their villages that are scattered around the map. And you have to raid those villages. They recommend having a party of about 5 players. Be warned, though, the natives will disappear if more than 10 players enter the village area. So it's made to be a very specific size raid that you can do, but you'll get special rewards for doing that. They have 7 professions. As I said, they redid the whole progression system with the XP and everything. It's a cool game. And this is the game that I said, if I only had one game, let's say I was on a desert, just on a deserted island, and I only had one game that I would play, this would be that one game. Because they're so big, and it would, to get into it, you would just have to dedicate all your time to it. Like, this would be the game.
Your desert island game would be the Life is Feudal MMO?
Because it wouldn't get repetitive. It's huge.
Yeah,
imagine how many times can you play? It'd be like being a Twitch streamer. How many times can you play PUBG?
Normally, I like to criticize and then have a rebuttal and have like a better alternative, but that just took me. You just took me so much by surprise. I don't even know what I would take now for my desert island video game. Oh man.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd want something like WoW could be that, but the thing is I've done that already. So, but, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is one of those games that the world changes based on the players. All these other games will get incredibly repetitive. This one, you can set up, these players in the game can set up whole towns and set up taxes and territories, and they make huge castles. Like, they give you a blank canvas, and the community makes the whole world in the system. So it's unique and it changes over time.
I would take Elite Dangerous.
That'd be another one.
Gotcha.
Okay, but it's still not as big as this.
I don't disagree.
And now, as far as the world is bigger.
Yes,
but
it's
Elite
tough to play.
Dangerous doesn't change. You know what I'm saying?
I got you, but it's tough to play. You really have to master the whole flying thing. Elite Dangerous, or if Chris Roberts ever decides to release Star Citizen, that would be an alternative as well.
Yeah, in 2027.
Whenever. Depending on how much more money you can suck out of people.
When the systems be able to catch up with the game he's developing, so it goes over 5 frames per second.
I would actually take H1Z1 and just survive, just by myself. I'd play alone, no servers, no nothing.
It'd be like before they shut down the servers. It'd be just the same.
Yeah, 7 people playing. It'd be great.
On a whole server.
You're bad, dude.
Anyway, so they're calling it Life is Feudal 0.2.0, and it says this winter. I don't know if that's the name of it. I don't know why. I guess it's still considered winter.
Yeah.
But if you had Life is Feudal your own, you upgraded, you have a copy of Life is Feudal. And I'll have to try it again. It is such a game that you have to dedicate, like, to actually get anywhere in it. Every little detail, building things, like, it's work. It's a lot of work. But if it were that's why I say, if it were the only game I played, if I was bored with life, like I didn't have anything else to do, like I come home and like I don't have anything to do, this would be the game that you'd want to jump into. I don't have enough time as it is, so I know I can't jump into this game.
Isn't that a shame?
Yeah, this game would be fun, but I know that there's no chance that I can touch the point where it gets fun, like really fun.
Like I feel like Rust. Like I have talked about this recently. I'd really like to get into Rust, but I know I do not have the time to.
You have to dedicate daily amount of time going in there.
I just don't have it,
and it's just.
It's a shame. All right. Well, good. That's a good update. We haven't heard about that in a while.
Let's play a video really quick. This will be just a nice little transition. So this was actually a game that I'll have a link for it if you want to buy it on the Epic Store. We have our store link that we actually get a little bit of a kickback if you buy it on there.
Definitely, yeah.
But this is
the Epic Store.
Yeah. This is Subnautica Below Zero. So I don't know if you played the original Subnautica, and they gave away a copy of the original one.
Yeah,
but this is their Below Zero, a new one that they're just releasing.
Whoa. Available on Discord too, it looks like.
Yep. So they have it on Steam, Discord, and the Epic Store.
Interesting.
And the first one was fun, but I think they were a smaller studio. And so I think now they have money, and you can tell the production quality has definitely gone up.
You know, I'm so lazy that I didn't even bother redeeming the free copy.
Oh my goodness. The first one is fun.
Isn't that bad? You know, and here's the thing. It's not that I said I'm lazy. It's not that I'm lazy. It's just that I knew I was never going to be able to play it. Like it's just like, I was just like, yeah, it's fine. But like, I can go redeem it, and for what? Like, am I really ever going to play it?
Yeah.
And it's a shame that the answer is no. But I mean, we've been over this.
The video games right now is just, we're so polluted with so many games, and some of them are really good.
I've been forcing myself the past week.
Games.
You would be proud of me. I've been forcing myself the last week to play Red Dead Redemption.
There you go.
And here's the worst part. I played for like 4 hours the other night for the first time since like November, and saved when I was done, and it said I was 29.7% way through the campaign. I've still got eons to go. So I mean, it'll happen hopefully this year. But it's not. I mean, it's not looking too hot.
I just wish that game had more after you beat it. Like that was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
So, all right. So do you have to be out? How do you have to be walking out the door?
Nah, we've got.
What's your hard cutoff?
Well, we've got like probably 10 more minutes before we have to end the show.
Okay, I just didn't want to hold you past.
No. I've got to about 5 after the hour. No, 5 minutes past the hour.
Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so let's talk okay, one thing I'm just going to mention, since this isn't going to take a lot of time. PUBG, we talked a lot about, there was their test server that they put out last week.
Yep.
They pretty much rolled that out to live.
Oh, excellent.
I looked through, the one thing I hate about us covering test server stuff is because, is there one thing that we missed in there? I didn't really see anything we missed from the test.
Okay.
So it should be almost identical. The notes look very, very close. So if you're wanting, pretty much the patch notes that we talked about last week, if you're wanting to play that should be live now on PUBG, so you can check that out. Also with SCUM, they put out an update, but it was pretty much just hot fixes.
Okay.
So some server optimization and hot fixes. And you know, they weren't trying to put in a lot of things. It was just, they knew it was just fixes for this one.
That game's a real shame to me. I wish, I mean, there was a lot of hype for SCUM.
Imagine if they would have done a lot of modding ability in that game. Like if you had the ability to mod it, and that would have been a good game to have modding capabilities in, because it's kind of realistic. Like the world is realistic. The world is beautiful. But it's like when you get in there, you're like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah, there are 1,000
around in PvP.
There are 1,400 people playing. It looks like their weekly peak is like 3,000 players. Which again, I'm not saying that's a bad number. I'm not saying but the amount of hype prior to the game,
going into it,
it should be 3 times that at least.
I mean, I'm wondering if they will at a point say, all right, we're not going to probably pick up a lot of players. If after they put in the content that they want to put in, still doesn't pick up, I would be very surprised if they don't say, all right, we're just going to make this a game that you can really heavily mod. Like that would be the thing that really, I think, would save that game. Is if people could truly mod, because people are trying to mod in Atlas, but I think you're very limited on what you can do.
Oh yeah.
Just like you were in Ark. I'm still waiting for that game that someone could mod and make things like you could in Arma. I just haven't seen something since Arma that you can really mod and make practically a new game out of.
The gold standard.
Yep. And I think if that would be the perfect example of a game to try and do that. They have some excellent developers on the team. They've done a beautiful job with generating the world and the characters, and everything is, all the pieces are there. If you can't make the puzzle something that people want to play, like hand the pieces to other people and let them make stuff.
And
make your game that.
According to Steam Spy, they have over 1 million owners. So they've got a player
people have
base.
it.
Yeah, they've got
people
a
reason to come in and play around with it.
It's been out for
Modding
5
would
months.
do that.
August 29, 2018. It's got over 1 million owners, and they've got 1,413 people currently playing it.
Yep.
And the game is pretty good. I only played a little bit of it because I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I was like,
I'm not a full-time PvP guy. Like I enjoy playing Arma, but I'm still not like a PvP guy. Like I don't like to go and play a game and only do PvP like that in an open world game.
I get very attached to my belongings, and I don't like when I die and lose them. So I mean, that's it.
Yep. So we'll see if that ever turns around. Hopefully it will. But they're gonna have to just add game modes or something to draw people back again. Do you have another game that you prefer?
Let's see. I don't think so. I mean, we've covered. Did we cover the ARC update? That's probably a quick one. Yeah, this is a quick one to manage. This is ARC. This is out as of the 30th of January. This is a server-only update, so it enabled a mating option, disabled mating on dinos by default. It's not retroactive, and fixed a bug that causes the UI to improperly reflect mating state. So I guess there's some mating issues with the server in ARC, so they've pushed this out as a server update. And this is only the second update they've done in the 291.100 set of updates.
Yeah, and they did two major updates since the release of ARC. They had a lot of stuff in it. We'll see how much more major stuff. If that was just stuff they were saving up until the after the release of ARC, or are they really actively working on it anymore? So it'll be interesting to see if they continue, because the game's done. I mean, I'm not saying it's like done, like nobody's going to play it anymore, but they've released the game. Oh, there's not going to be any more DLCs.
There are plenty of people playing. You don't have to. You're not going to say the game is done. I mean that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's dead, but I'm saying as far as them developing the game, like they've released everything. So we'll see if they do anything beyond this. If Atlas doesn't work out, who knows? Maybe they'll revisit the ARC world.
I think there's a very real possibility of that, Brian. I really do.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that's going to cover us for news. Unfortunately, I've got to get out of here, so we're going to have to wrap some stuff up here. If you don't have anything else, we can go into current players, tip of the week, and then wrap up the program. All right. Well, current players is, if I can find my sound clip, there it is. Current players is a segment of the show where we talk about games and players and who's currently playing them. So let's take a look at some of the games that we talk about. Let's first jump into H1Z1, the BR version of H1Z1. Currently playing 642 people currently playing. 1,881 is your 24-hour peak, followed by your 70 peak at 1,943. Well, it's definitely not a dead game. Currently playing ARC. By the way, how long has this game been out? Let's see. Let me pull this up here on Steam. This game has been out. ARC Survival Evolved has been out for... it's been out since August 27th of 2017. There are currently 25,680 people playing it. The 24-hour peak is 38,344, and the 7-day peak is 51,146. Let's compare that with Atlas, which has been out less than 2 months. Currently playing 14,207. The 24-hour peak, 18,662, with a 7-day peak of 25,551. So ARC is almost doubling all of these numbers compared to Atlas, which is pretty incredible. Realm Royale, we chatted a little bit about this today. Their numbers seem to be going up here. Currently playing 5,026, your 24-hour peak 7,621, with a 7-day peak just shy of 10,000 at 9,863. And finally, Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, currently playing 116,037, your 24-hour peak 662,762, with a 7-day peak of 809,999. Brian, these numbers they're shedding numbers.
That's like 200,000 less
than it was last week. Yes, they are. I don't know again if it's time of the day or what's going on, but they are shedding. They are shedding.
But even with the all-time highs, like that just shows you that people are playing either other games or whatever's happening.
Well, there's lots of competition.
200,000 people peak. That would be. I mean, it's got to be coming out of China because we already know that a huge amount of those players are China. So what are they playing? Are they playing some of these new games coming out?
Are they getting banned?
Where they're going? Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, it'd be interesting to find what the cause is. I mean, because the there may be some specific reason that we're not seeing. Actually, I did see, there was an article I saw talking about Steam's ban system. And like Steam, it was something I saw on my phone, so I didn't catch the link. But they have like, they did like 900,000 bans in like the last certain period of time. Like the Steam's been banning people like crazy. So, even something like that could make a difference. I mean, because you remember huge amounts, especially when this game first came out, huge amounts of bans, and it's probably just getting worse, and they're getting more accurate with their bans, and there's plenty of people that are hacking in the game. They're not going to run out of that.
No, never.
So, but it could be, that'd be interesting to see if that article that I saw about Steam really ramping up their bans, if that would have anything to do with it.
Yeah, that would that unfortunately we won't, but that would be very interesting to see.
All right, so we ready for tip of the week?
Yes, sir.
All right, tip of the week, so go through and either talk about a general gaming tip or for a specific one. And since we're playing Apex Legends right now, I figured I'd do for that. So this is tip of the week. All right, so we talked a little bit about this earlier. So I've added some extra onto my tip of the week, something I was going to do in the next couple of weeks, just to make up for it. It's fine. But this game, one thing they've done a really good job is kind of taking some of those positive aspects of other VR games and kind of taking them to the next level, going on that next step to make them a little more depth to it. And so one thing that we talked about earlier was the ping system, and they did a really good job of incorporating that to mark locations that are important. One thing, we've seen it in ROE, but one thing they did in here is when you call something out, you can call out a specific piece of gear. And this is something that I noticed right away, is you could go in and say, hey, I'm calling out and marking this piece of gear. They can walk away from that piece of gear. And rather than in PUBG, where we'd say, hey, in this building, there's a piece of gear, come over here and you can get it. You can actually mark it and they'll see the highlighted piece of gear in there. So they can go and find it for later. So you don't have to sit there and make sure they see what building you're in and everything. Also, you can to mark other players, where other players are, or if you're going to be looting in a specific area, there's a specific call out to say, hey, I'm going to loot this area, so that you make sure you guys aren't covering each other's area when you land. So that was pretty unique. And I think that those type of things, especially for people who maybe don't have mics, that's going to make a difference to have the extra communication, to give a little bit of teamwork when people aren't sitting there and talking like we do usually. Another thing that I was going to mention later, but they have an interesting system for when you do damage to people. You notice with H1Z1, they would go through and they'd have different sounds that would notify, okay, I'm hitting armor and things like that. But you'll notice in this game, they actually have different colors around the damage marks. So the numbers that are showing damage, if you pay attention to the colors that they are, that's actually indicating the armor level of the other player. So if it's red, that means that they have no armor. I think as it goes up, like yellow means they have some armor. Up to green, if I remember correctly, is the best armor. So that means, so you would pay attention to the fact that, okay, I got some damage on this guy. He's red. I'm going to go all out because he doesn't have any armor on him. So that may help you a little bit in determining, all right, if it's actually purple, I think is the highest one. If it's purple, then I think that means that they have the best armor on. So you can take a look at the damage marker. As you see the different colors around there, pay attention, because that will make a difference of possibly how difficult that player will be to take down. So hopefully that helps you in game. We'll make sure we play some. We'll play some on Friday. Jump in some games, jump into our Discord, and bring it up to people. Say, hey, join me for a game. That's tip of the week.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that on Friday night. I think we'll have a good time.
Yep, and it is a very solid game. And just the number of games that I've had, I didn't have any issues, which is nice.
Yep.
So definitely worth checking out. All right, we
here we go. Breaking news from the Apex Legends. Apex Legends broke 2 million unique players in under 24 hours. That's nice. From their Twitter about an hour ago. So, pretty big news.
And people can't say that that's the reason, like, if you look at PUBG's numbers, they can't blame that, because the numbers that we're looking at for PUBG are a week's time. This game has been out now. This is the second day.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see a week from now, or, in the next couple of weeks, once they've had their week reset, how this is affecting games like PUBG.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll hopefully we'll be able to see some of that.
All right, so let's go ahead and ready to close this raffle.
Yes, sir.
All right. Congratulations, Mono12349. Mono12349, you have won, and he is a follower. Thank you for following the channel, and I will send this to you as a message in Twitch here. So, congratulations.
Yes, thanks for watching, and we'll be live at our regular time, 7 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday. So, for anybody that got knocked off with the time, our regular scheduled program will go off without a hitch next week. So, back to regular program.
Very good.
Apologies.
No worries. We got this.
Yes.
All right. Well, if you want to catch me, give me @VoicingComputer on Twitter. Of course, my blog, biteoftech.com. Make sure you go to our website and join our Discord server. It's a great way to hang out throughout the week, especially if you're going to be joining some of these games. If you've never joined it, you're a listener of this, I really encourage you to go in there, introduce yourself, let us know. Nick will always ask you how long you've been listening, how you found us. Make sure you join our Steam group. This week, Steam was not working, so we couldn't send out a notification for when we were starting, but normally we do. And so join our Steam group for notifications of the live show. We have our YouTube channel, our Twitch channel, our audio-only formats, and show notes for every single episode that we've done back to episode 1. So make sure you go check those out. And we actually have, I think there's some things we didn't even cover. So make sure you go in there and check out our show notes and see what we missed.
Yes, and thanks to our friend Heisenberg, TechZone 707, Locklore, and UGX Vibe, all for hitting us up with the subscriptions during the show, the Twitch subscriptions. We appreciate it, guys. And again, if you're going to be buying stuff on like the Epic Store, we have an affiliate link, which will be up on the website, as well as our Humble Bundle store. Use our code. It'll help support the program and get us out to Seattle here in just a couple months. It'll be coming up here in the summer. So thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate you being accommodating with the time and all the pre-work on the show notes. And I look forward to hopefully playing some Apex with you over here over the next couple days.
Very good. We'll do.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you for joining us here for another episode of Infection. Of course, if you missed any part of the show, you can check out our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Hey, send us a tweet. Maybe you have a comment about something we talked about. It's @InfectionCast. Well, you can follow me personally on Twitter @NicholasMCraig. And of course, miss any part of the show, visit our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.